So Yanni points out that the Gothic game has elements of dice rolling, which means that to some extent there's luck that plays a role in the victory of the game. So how do you, as the developer, balance luck and strategy to produce the best game experience?
Okay, so the Gothic game isn't chess. You know, there's a whole spectrum of games that appeal to a whole lots of different people. And some people obviously really enjoy very kind of Euro style gaming. And then you've got people who are okay and quite enjoy having a bit more luck in the game. And I would put myself in that category. So the original Gothic game, it is very luck based in the sense that you're rolling the dice and you don't have much say in what happens. So one of the things that I tried to do with this was to add some mitigation around luck into the game, a limited amount of mitigation. So that creates an element of strategy in its own right, which is, when do you choose to use that mitigation and when don't you? So do you, for example, play aggressively with the mitigation that you have, or do you save that and wait for a nightmare scenario where you absolutely must use it? So that's an example there of how we've tried to balance that. But in fact, all the things about the game, if you were to just glance at it, some people might just look at it and be like, there's no strategy involved here at all. But there's always quite a lot going on in the game. So, for example, one of the things that we've done to speed the game up is whenever a player is eliminated, or in some cases, it doesn't even need a player to be eliminated, there is a card revealed at the top of the board called a death knell card. And on the back of each one of these is a new rule which is implemented into the game. So once, I think I said there was 5 of them. So once one is in play, it changes the game. Once all 5 are in play, you're essentially playing a completely different game than the one you started playing. So how you respond to and react to the rules that change as you play will reward players who do that well and punish players who just ignore them. To a lesser extent, we have a deck of cards called the castle cards, and these act in a similar fashion. So when you draw one of these, they introduce a new rule, but the new rule is temporary, generally speaking. Excuse me, the cavalry's here with some water. Thank you. Yeah, so I've lost my train of thought.
You were talking about castle cards, Kris.
Oh, the castle cards, yeah. So they work in a similar way to the death knell cards, except they're temporary. So when you take in all of these rule changes, bearing in mind what's in play, what isn't, when you consider what character you're playing, what their talents are, and how you can make best use of them, when you've played the game for a little bit, you start to know what cards are found in which rooms are the ones you want to avoid because they're more dangerous than others. Knowing what cards you've got and which cards synergize well with those and where you can go to find them. When you look at the game and you can see, where's everyone else on the board at the moment? Is the vampire currently in play? Am I within reach of any of the other players? What's the turn order of the game? Who's next? All these kinds of things. What's been drawn so far? They all feed into your decision-making process around what you should do next in your game on your turn. And if you do that, then you will be more successful than if you don't. We have a guy who plays in our group called G, and he is a brilliant board gamer. He thinks about all these things. And he normally wins about 60 to 65% of the time. He'd probably say it's more than that. But he wins a fair few. And he's playing against other people who know the game really well as well. So it has ended up having its own kind of strategy, its own complexities. But the great thing about it is that it's really easy to play for someone who's new to the hobby as well. And it's not like they're just going to come into the game and get absolutely crushed. there is an element of luck there, and I wouldn't change that, to be honest, because I wouldn't want that feeling to go. As well as that, you never want a very dominant player to feel completely safe. You should feel like you're always a little bit in danger, no matter how well you think you're doing. And that's something that we want to keep in the game as well. And it's very difficult to do that without luck. And I think the luck, going back to the kind of storytelling stuff, it's those really random or seemingly random events and occurrences that become the most memorable. Certainly for me anyway. And nothing against Euro games and people who enjoy them, but I don't get those same experiences playing those games as I do with games like this. So yeah, that's. I hope that answers the question.
One of my favorite gaming memories is of playing Talisman, and which has a similar sort of roll and move and card, like decks of cards for different locations, and playing that game. And one of our gaming group died really early on, and wasn't really sure if he wanted to start a new character because he died as somebody was getting to literally the very end of the game. The game should have been over within minutes. And he ended up reviving a character and coming back and winning the game completely from nowhere. And that was this little piece of luck that just happened to give him a chance. There was always a chance that luck gave him. Luck is something that's really important in games. Mark Rosewater, the designer for Magic the Gathering, talks a lot about how a certain amount of luck is really important to help players feel a sense of investment. Because if you're down on your luck and you're losing, you've got to know that there is a slim chance that there is going to be something that could save you. It's crippling in some of those heavy Euros when you look at the clock and you go, oh my God, there's another hour left, but I know that I'm going to lose because there's no luck in it. And it's about finding what that line is. And I feel the same as Kris does about trying to find ways to mitigate that luck by choosing your times when you're going to mitigate it. And I think that it's a really cool thing, the idea of having this nostalgia product that still says, hey, we're going to play with the idea of luck and roll and move, but we're going to work out ways to mitigate it. And whether that's, I need to find a powerful weapon now, well, how are you going to mitigate that? Well, I'm going to go to a place where I know there is going to be a more powerful weapon. I know that I need garlic. I might go to a kitchen. Like, the idea of bringing those things in, I think, is really, really smart, rather than just having like one big deck of cards and saying, luck, good luck, crack on.
And I have to add a strategy that you missed there, Kris, about the luck mitigation resources, which is the strategy I take when I play RPGs, which is hoard everything in case I need to and never get a chance to use it.
I have to say, one of the things that I love, probably my favorite thing when I'm playing a board game, is like if I think in my head, such and such has happened, this is the situation, I'm going to gamble based on my knowledge that this person's got this or this person doesn't have this, or if I go here, there's a good chance that I'll draw. I suppose it's a little bit like poker, when you're weighing up the odds. When that pays off, that is such a rewarding moment in board gaming, and it's something that I really love, and yeah, it's prominent in the game.
Yeah, and it absolutely keeps things exciting. Without a little bit of luck, you could end up in that situation where there's just one strategy to win and you just do that every time and it just gets boring. So those elements of luck really help to keep that variety within the gameplay and what's going to happen.